Look at your family, who you follow. I was wrong.
It cannot be a memorable X-Men series without the presence of some antagonists who have the potential to wreck the mutant heroes at will. The ongoing X-Men 97 has introduced quite a few terrifying villains so far, but the creepiest among them has to be the demonic apparition of the Adversary. The eerie voiceover, the intimidating appearance, and the manipulation tactics shown by him make him true to his reputation of being one of the greatest tricksters in the Marvel Universe. And in this video, we will bring you the incredible details of his anatomy that will help in a better understanding of this sinister villain. Before we go into our explanation, we have a very small request. If you like our content, please support us by subscribing to our channel. This is a small click for you, but for us it means a lot. Thank you, and let's begin.
You live disappointed.
Who is the Adversary and what is his purpose? How is he introduced in X-Men 97? The Adversary is an ancient demonic entity who originated from the dimension of chaos. His goal is to spread chaos across and destroy the universe so that he can recreate his own according to his whims and fancies. He constantly toys with the fate of the universe, and he doesn't care even if millions of lives are at stake for his actions. The Cheyenne Indians came to know about his presence and their shaman Nays, who clashed with the evil Adversary himself, trained Forge from a young age to master the skills of fighting him. Forge and the Adversary thus go back a long way, and it is not surprising that X-Men 97 introduced Adversary as someone who seeks to destroy the life of Forge and everything that he loves. However, even with all the training that Forge underwent to counter Adversary, he joined the US Army and went on to fight in the Vietnam War. During this war, when the soldiers were killed by the enemy, Forge opened the mystical portal to Adversary's dimension and summoned the demons from this realm that killed the enemy soldiers. Many years later, when Forge tried to restore the powers of Storm, an Omega-level mutant who lost her abilities, Adversary reappeared in his life and tried to manipulate Storm into killing Forge. You can see the similarity between how Adversary has been brought into X-Men 97 under similar circumstances. Here, Storm has lost her mutant powers and Forge has offered to help her regain the same. The Adversary appears and fatally injects a poison in Forge, which is all set to kill him once it reaches his heart. Meanwhile, he tries to manipulate Storm to let him die and promises to restore her powers himself. In the 6th episode titled Life Death Part 2, Storm manages to break free of the spell that Adversary tries to cast on her. Despite his repeated attempts to control her, she eventually finds the cure for Forge and saves its life.
Your family, who you follow. I was wrong.
How is the appearance of the Adversary different in X-Men 97? The true form of the Adversary is tough to understand because he keeps changing his appearance as a demonic entity. In the comic books, we have come across multiple versions of Adversary. Sometimes he can be seen appearing as an undead native with a well-built physique. He even sports the Indian headgear in this appearance, and there is another version of Adversary in the comics that shows him as a giant humanoid with the face of a skeleton. In X-Men 97, he appears in his owl-like avatar, and Adversary looks like a giant evil bird with glowing red eyes and a crooked sharp beak. The body of this demonic creature is black, and he speaks in a husky, sinister voice that immediately spooks the viewers. How is Adversary summoned into the human world? As is the case with most demonic entities, someone like the Adversary has to be summoned under certain conditions. In X-Men 97, for instance, the Adversary is brought into the picture after Storm discovers that the weapon that rendered her powerless was actually developed by Forge. She feels betrayed following the discovery, and even though Forge tries to reason with her, she loses her cool and walks away. In this moment of weakness, as she moves on a horseback, she falls through an ethereal chasm and is almost magically brought back to Forge's ranch in Texas. The sinister demonic force appears in an owl-like form and it bites Forge fatally, poisoning him severely. He reveals that he is willing to feed on the grief, suffering, and weakness of Storm, and we don't see much of a physical presence apart from the bite injury that he inflicts. It is almost like he is toying around with Storm's psyche. But what really summons Adversary into this realm? Although it hasn't been spelled out clearly in X-Men 97, it seems like the weakened psychological condition of Storm and her turmoil attracted him out of this mystical realm. Even Forge was guilty and grief-stricken, and the Adversary is someone who thrives on such negative emotions. In the comic books, Adversary can be summoned into the human world by performing certain rituals, and even Forge once performed one such ritual in desperation. Once he is summoned, the Adversary can hardly be stopped from playing his dirty tricks and disturbing the balance of reality for his human victims.
You're not an X-Man anymore. Where did that get you? Kiss.
How does the Adversary mess with people's minds? He might be a master of magic, but his best skills are easily his manipulation tactics. As a demonic entity, the Adversary can get into the minds of people quite easily and make them do things that they wouldn't imagine doing otherwise. He has a strong command over the reality, and as an expert in reality warping, the Adversary can also summon ghouls and certain supernatural powers to influence his victims. In the comic books, the Adversary once traps Forge and Storm in a mystical dimension, and they have a tough time escaping from this realm where their minds struggle to work normally. Is Adversary a shapeshifter? There are plenty of instances in the comic books where the Adversary has been shown as someone capable of taking forms of others and even possessing them. He is known as the Master of Disguise because he can trick just about anyone with his shape-shifting skills. In one particular story arc, Adversary tricked Storm momentarily into believing that he was someone else, and he almost convinced her that Forge was under the spell of Adversary. His shape-shifting abilities are probably just a part of his vast magical powers, and if this demonic entity is indeed as old as the universe, his skills have only gotten better with time.
Turned your back on these paths long ago.
What is the personality of Adversary like? We have already spoken about how the Adversary is a notorious evil trickster, and his personality reflects his nature. He opposes order and stability in every way possible, and the whole challenge of creating chaos and imbalance is like a game for him. He seeks to terminate humanity from the beginning of time, and this demonic entity has a personality that shows his cunning nature. The Adversary can always be seen making snide remarks and dark jokes, mostly trying to prey on the insecurities of his victims. However, even though he might seem like someone who works without a plan, Adversary is actually quite intelligent, and his schemes are well thought out more often than not.
And I will save you and let you live your tempting daydream.
How powerful is Adversary? The Adversary is often portrayed as someone who is nearly invincible, but the true extent of his powers remains unclear. He seeks to recreate the entire universe all by himself, but whether he can really do so hasn't been proven yet. That being said, there is no denying the fact that Adversary is insanely powerful. He is not composed of physical matter, but pure energy, and his magical abilities are second to none. He has superhuman strength and stamina, and he also has the ability to hop between dimensions. Aside from the shape-shifting powers that we've already discussed, he can wield massive amounts of energy and attack his opponents with the same, and his mind-controlling abilities are among the best. Even in X-Men 97, he may be down and out for now, but expect a grand return very soon with yet another sinister plan.
Look at you. No. Forge destroyed you.
Is the Adversary immortal? Demonic entities made up of energy such as the Adversary are often immortal and cannot be killed by normal means. He has been engaged in numerous battles with Naze and Forge, but nothing has killed him permanently so far. Even when he is defeated, the Adversary can always head back to his dimension and come back stronger. He cannot be physically harmed, but there are a couple of things that make him slightly vulnerable. His weakness to iron and anything originating from iron has been exposed in the comics, and weapons made of steel and adamantium also leave him weakened. So while there hasn't been any concrete information on his immortality, it is quite likely that he cannot be destroyed permanently, and he is an immortal unless some extraordinary measures are taken. Can the Adversary reproduce? So far in all the comic book story arcs that are available, there is nothing to suggest that the Adversary has an offspring or even a partner. He doesn't have a physical body, which might make a natural process of reproduction difficult for him. However, Adversary can possess someone with a physical body and reproduce under such circumstances. He can also make use of his insane magical abilities to recreate, and it will be fun to have one of his offsprings with similar powers in future story arcs. Don't forget to tell us in the comments below about your thoughts on this creepy villain, and also let us know what you think of his story arc going ahead in the show. Is it the end of the road for the Adversary, or is he only getting started? We will find out soon enough in the upcoming episodes of X-Men 97. If you like the content, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to us if you haven't already. Have a good one and be safe. Thanks, everyone.